Hey guys, welcome back to Ripestories. Today's stories will be all about entitled siblings, and the stories are absolutely crazy and satisfying. Let's dive right into the first of two stories. So the first one is titled, Parents used/stole my money to pay $50,000 honeymoon for my golden child sister. So I, 25 female, have a younger sister, 22 female, who we will call Michelle. My entire life my parents have favored Michelle over me because she is the youngest. Every desire she had she was indulged in, expensive birthday parties, lavish gifts for no occasion whatsoever. Anything and everything Michelle wanted, Michelle would get. I on the other hand was not rewarded for anything, all the chores were put on me. I would always be the one washing the dishes or cleaning the house, even cleaning the room that Michelle and I shared. Michelle never cleaned it though. My parents started making me do chores when I was 9. I was not against the idea of doing chores and am honestly glad that they gave me the responsibility. However, I was upset that Michelle never had to do anything. When Michelle turned 9, I expected my parents to start making her do chores too. However, she didn't, so I asked my parents if she was going to eventually. They said she wasn't. I asked them why I was the only one doing anything, and they replied that it was because I was older and that it was my responsibility to take care of my younger sister. That has been their excuse for as long as I could remember. Because of my parents spoiling her and constantly coddling her, Michelle turned into a huge brat even as she grew older. I always tried getting closer with her, but she never enjoyed our time together, and by the time I reached college, I just gave up on it. Anyways, that's enough background. All you need to know is that my sister is extremely spoiled and my parents love her. So I'm currently a graduate student at one of the universities in my state. I was not ambitious enough to get a scholarship or anything, so I'm paying out of pocket. I'd been saving up money since high school for college. I made a bank account for all the money, but I had to get my parents to sign it for me since I was 17, and they would not let minors have anything without a co-signer. This will be important later on, I swear. I work a full-time job right now, and other than basic necessities, all my money is going to save up to pay tuition for grad school. My payment is due every semester, and this was my second semester of sophomore year. One day, I checked my bank account to see how much money I had left. I was shocked to find that nearly $50,000 had been taken out of my account. My tuition is $70,000 and I only had $30,000 left in my bank account. I immediately checked my transactions thinking that my information might have been leaked or something. I see a load of transactions that I know I did not make. I looked through all of them and noticed that it was for a trip to Tahiti. Tickets to Tahiti were booked, flights as well. I searched through my messages since my bank usually alerts me if there are any suspicious transaction activities, but I found nothing. I immediately became suspicious, though I did not want to be. Basically, at the time, Michelle was getting married to a dentist. Neither she nor my parents would stop rubbing it in my face, saying, "Out of college and already getting married to a successful man," was all I would hear after the engagement announcement. I was weirded out by it considering the guy was twice her age, but it was not my life and my sister would not listen to me anyway. They had been planning for the wedding for the longest time and I knew my sister wanted her honeymoon in Tahiti. That is why when I saw the transactions all for trips to Tahiti, I thought maybe my sister had something to do with this. I did not want to believe it, but the more I kept thinking about it, the more it made sense. So I decided to pay my parents a visit just to see what was going on. I drove down to their house. I rarely visit them as if they want to see me, so they were surprised that I was there. I told them about the weird transactions I saw in my bank account and asked if they knew anything about it. My dad was 100% honest with me, which made me simultaneously relieved but also very pissed off. Apparently, because they were co-signers when I initially opened my bank account, they still retained access. I briefly remember a while back when I turned 18, I tried getting them off my bank account. However, they wanted to stay on for so-called emergencies, though I had been suspicious of them since my parents have a bad habit of spending a lot of money on useless things. I let them remain on my bank account and kept them there since they had not taken any of my money. My dad said that they needed to book the flights and everything in advance before it got expensive and especially to calm my sister down. I was livid with them. I said that it was my hard-earned money and that I needed that for my tuition. My mom brushed me off saying that I was young and that I would earn all the money back anyway. I argued back, even if I could eventually get the money back, it would not be in time to pay my tuition. We argued for a bit longer and then I just up and left because it was clear that they were not regretting what they did at all. A bit after, I received a text from my sister being all smug. She said, Thanks for paying for my honeymoon. I'm finally going to get the Bora Bora hut I deserve. I went home and decided that I needed to take action. Obviously, I froze my account so no more money could go in or out, and then I filed a claim with my bank reporting the transaction as fraudulent. I called them, talking to the person in charge of fraud claims for my local branch. I explained the situation with my parents and asked if there was any way I could still take legal action against them despite the fact that they were co-signers. The fraud analyst explained that while co-signers were allowed to access the funds, they were not allowed to take anything out of the bank account without my permission. With that in mind, he recommended that I report my parents to the police. I gladly reported them for fraud, and the police assured me that they would investigate my parents. In the meantime, I managed to get a refund for the money, and thankfully, I paid off what I owed for my tuition. The investigation took about a month, but the police reached back to me with some answers. Apparently, my dad needed to send in proof that I approved the transaction with a signature. Of course, he did not want to tell me about the money, so he forged my signature, which obviously is illegal. My parents were arrested once everything was confirmed. I did not know what happened to my sister until she started spamming me a few days after. It was a long string of pretty nasty texts, but she essentially asked me what I did because she could not stay at her resort in Tahiti due to some kind of fraud claim. I think the resort received the claim and locked everything. Meanwhile, my parents and I went to court. The trial revealed that my parents had accessed my bank account through the family computer. I had logged onto my bank account a long time ago for whatever reason there. I don't really remember since it was so long ago. However, the info never got cleared and my parents used it to monitor my finances and I guess use it when the opportunity came up. It also revealed that my sister had been in on the plan as well. I obviously suspected it because of that nasty text she sent thanking me for paying for her honeymoon, but in court they pulled up a group chat made between my parents and my sister, with me excluded of course, that revealed that all three of them were adamant on taking my money, even giddy about it. My parents overall were charged with identity theft, wire fraud and felony grand theft. They eventually accepted a plea deal where they would have to spend 9 months in county jail with 5 years of probation. Honestly, I thought it was still pretty harsh since they would be spending nearly a year in jail, with 5 years being under the justice system's watchful eye, but it was probably the best they could get considering what they did was a pretty serious crime. And well, what happened to your sister, I hear you all asking? She had to fly back from Tahiti, no honeymoon whatsoever. She had a separate trial than my parents because she was more of an accomplice to the crimes than anything. She had a less severe punishment with 5 months in county jail and 2 years of probation. She also had to pay, like my parents, a bunch of fines. From what I heard, she tried getting her dentist husband to pay them since he had so much money after all, but he was so disgusted by what she did that he filed for divorce instead. That was settled quickly since they had no assets together. I also decided to sue for emotional distress as well, which received its own trial. I got paid around 7.5k as retribution. I may have been pushing it a little much, but I feel like I deserved some extra compensation for putting up with all of this BS. 6 months have passed since then and my parents are still in jail. Of course my sister is out, but her reputation is in ruins. Her friend who, from what I heard, already did not like her much anyway, have left her and not wanting to associate with a criminal. The story made it to the people in our hometown and they are not fans either, so she's pretty much unwelcome there too. Distant family members who I honestly thought forgot about me even reached out saying they were shocked by my family's actions, even offering that if I needed help I could contact them. I honestly appreciated it, but was surprised to find that the news spread to my family too. I do have an aunt in the area though, so I guess it started from her. In the meantime, I used the extra money to invest a little and have gotten a decent amount back. I decided to put a down payment on a condo near my college. I'm currently living in an apartment meant for graduates, but I know that once I graduate, I will have to give up the space to someone else. As I didn't have anywhere else to go other than my parents' house, and I'm sure you guys can all assume that I'm not going back there, I decided that having a condo would be good for me. My lease is ending soon with my campus apartment and I'll be moving into the condo very soon. I will be taking all the stuff that I left at my parents' house there and I'll be officially gone from their lives. As much as part of me loves them, I'm honestly still angry and hurt by what they did, so I think it's better if I just go no contact. Admittedly, all of this may have been my fault for having them remain on my bank account and using my personal info on a computer accessible to everyone, but it is not my fault that they decided to be greedy and use my money for themselves. This is why you should stay safe with your information and make sure you give it away to people you trust or don't give it away at all. And yeah guys, I would say not giving it away at all is definitely the better option. I hope OP learned his lesson here. I would never trust this family again, that's for sure. Anyway, now let's move on to the next story, which is also about an incredibly entitled sibling, aka golden child. It is titled, Am I the a-hole if I kick my brother, 30 male, the golden child, out for cursing at me in my own house where he does not pay or does anything? And by the way, if you have watched until here and enjoy the stories about crazy entitled siblings, please don't forget to like the video. Thank you so much. So while I, 28 female, was looking for a job, my brother, 30, offered to help and I moved in with him. I was so grateful. I cleaned the house, prepared our meals and did everything around the house. My boyfriend, 29, felt responsible for me and brought bags of groceries every day to compensate what I ate. After a month, I threw away a trash bin swarming with worms. I replaced it with the exact same thing. My brother told me that I had no right and kicked me out, so I moved in with my BF. The next day, my mother called. I never tell her anything and she said, "It is your fault. It is his house. You don't have a right to his stuff. He's your brother. You gotta obey him." Not long after, I found an amazing job and house, boyfriend and I moved in together. I wanted to help my brother and told him that he could live with us for a couple of months, save money and then move into a better place. I told him not to worry about the rent and other utilities because we are family. And well, he did nothing around the house. I bought a TV my brother became obsessed with and we would watch TV all day every day, but one day I told my brother dinner was ready. He turned the TV on and left the room. I was laying the table, I opened a news channel. He came back and complained, switched the channel back. I told him we should watch something that we can all enjoy. He insisted that he came first. We were gonna watch what he wanted to watch. I told him to switch back, but he did not. I told him to give me the remote control, but he didn't. After demanding the remote control the 10th time, he threw it on the floor. I told him he cannot throw stuff in my house because it didn't belong to him. I told him he was not doing anything in the house to help, but at least let us rest and enjoy our day while we can. For the context, my BF and I both study for our postgraduates, have jobs and work in the house. He screamed and cursed and next day my mom called and asked what happened and I refused to answer. She then told me it was my fault and told me to be polite to him because he was a guest. He was my brother and I gotta obey him. 2 weeks ago, I broke my ankle. Last Friday, I was working on my assignments with this excruciating pain in my ankle. My mom called and I refused to make a comment on the fight. She then started to cry, saying my brother had to order takeout. We did not have food. I then realized I was so busy working and trying to make it to the deadline that I forgot to eat. It was not important, of course, my brother had to order takeout. Unthinkable. Today my brother said, "As your brother, I came and I'm apologizing for cursing at you. I know I am right in the fight, so I expect you to apologize." I told him I did nothing wrong and I was not gonna apologize. He told me I was sick in the head. He was saying things as if my mom was talking. He told me I had narcissistic personality disorder. He was done and I was dead to him. My BF told me my brother suffers from favoritism. Am I the a-hole if I want to cut contact with them and kick him out of my house? And yeah guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Is OP really the a-hole here or not? Let me know what you think in the comments, but I would say the mother and especially the brother seem insanely entitled, and yeah, I would not want to deal with people like this. Update: after reading your comments and discussing them with my BF, I decided to call my mother and explain what really happened. So I tried to tell the story from my perspective. I started off by saying that I'm not her and her worldviews do not necessarily reflect mine. She interrupted me 100 times as she usually does, and she did not even try to see things from my side. As we all guessed, she sided with my brother. It was a 1-hour call, so I might skip certain things, but I remember her blaming me for leaving food in the refrigerator for my brother. Apparently paying the bills, cleaning, doing the laundry and cooking are not enough. I also have to call him to the table and make sure he does eat. Her exact words were, "You are treating him as if he is a stray dog." I will let this sink in for you guys. Surprisingly, she did not know that my brother does not pay for anything. It is very convenient, my brother forgot to tell her this. She denied always siding with him, and I told her to give me one example when she sided with me. She couldn't, of course. At the end of our call, I told her I'm used to not having a mom in my life, but if she truly loves my brother, she should really stop spoiling him. He never ever had a girlfriend, doesn't have friends, and is the most selfish person I've ever seen. He expects everything to be served on a silver platter. She was shocked as if she never realized that my brother doesn't have anyone besides us. I told her to think about what I told her and call me back in 2 hours if she agrees with me. She did call to my surprise and told me that I'm a very compassionate and a good-hearted girl. This could be the very first time she ever said something nice about me. I thanked her and asked for a favor, but she will have to accept beforehand. She agreed and I told her to stay out of our arguments with my brother. He always thinks that he's in the right because she sides with him unconditionally. It is always 2 versus 1 against me. We will see if she keeps her promise though. Later that night, I walked in my brother's room and told him I was hurt not because he threw the TV remote or not following my rules, but because I don't deserve to be called names in my own house at the age of 28. He apologized for swearing and screaming and agreed not to do that anymore. I told him I'm not the sole decision maker in our house and I have to respect my boyfriend's wishes as well. Since he has been a burden for us emotionally, financially and physically, we both appreciate if he could find his own place as soon as possible. I told him even though he kicked me out, I will never do that to him. Boyfriend told him he can stay with us until he finds his own place, and well, he is still with us. He tries to help around the house, and yesterday he asked if he could watch TV. Damn, my boyfriend knows he's a keeper now. Thank you all for your kind words and I apologize if I offended anyone in any way. Now we got another update to this, admittedly kind of weird story, but I still think it's quite interesting. So after writing my update, I asked my brother if he intends to follow our plan for him to move out by the end of August. He raised his eyebrows and kept quiet. I told him we had an agreement, we showed respect and patience, but he did not change one bit. He got offended and left the room. He basically said that there's a right time for everything. He already has a job that he's been working for 3 years, but he applied for another job and he's currently waiting for a response. I did not even know that he applied for a new job until recently. He is reluctant to move out before an answer, so he wants to wait and see. I totally understand why he does what he does, but well, 5 minutes later my mom called and told me that we kicked him out. I cannot understand how in the whole wide world I ended up being the bad guy who kicked her brother out. I told her repeatedly that I did not kick him out. She did not listen as always. I told her again that my brother does not pay or do anything. My bonuses were cut because of my ankle and the project my boyfriend was working got suspended for 4 months. Moreover, boyfriend is about to finish his thesis, so he is very stressed out. We are having financial difficulties and I'm spending my emergency fund. My brother knows this and still did not even offer to pay for anything. He even told me that he saved up 30k since he moved in with us. I don't want his money, I don't need his money, but it would still be nice if he offered. Mother told me she's gonna tell him to pay our rent. I told her to stay out of the arguments like we agreed. She believes she should meddle in our lives as if we are still children. I understand she tries to help, but at the end of the day, she makes everything worse. I feel she doesn't care about solving the problem, but she wants to find the guilty kid, which is of course always me. Next day when we came home and saw my brother cooking, my brother works from home, he cooked for us for the following days and told me he can cover the rent and utilities, but I kindly declined his offer. I did not tell him this, but I know for a fact that if I accept his money, my mother and brother will remind me this for the rest of my life. They have this urge to remind you every little thing they do for you. A couple of days ago, my brother and I got into one of our silly arguments, and he again started yelling and screaming. I just kept quiet and watched him. I tried to understand why he was so angry. I asked, "Why are you yelling at me as if I'm your enemy?" He stopped and then started crying. He told me that he thinks he is misunderstood and it frustrates him. At that moment my heart ached and I hugged him. He cried on my shoulder and kissed me on the cheek. We ended the argument with smiles. Yesterday he took me out for shopping and we shared a dinner, just the 2 of us. I know many of you are disappointed with me. I'm one of those people who believes others mistreating us might be a cry for help. I'm trying to be a good sister. Thank you. P.S. 5 minutes after writing this update, my boyfriend asked for a date again and he got offended and did not respond. I keep asking him every day to see if he gives me an answer. Boyfriend said he doesn't have the patience and will be staying with his friend until my brother moves out. Now I find myself pressuring him to move out and it sickens me. I do not want to kick him out and turn into him. What do I do? Final update, my brother moved into his new house. He says he's still paying for his new furniture, he even invited us for dinner. I'm still with my boyfriend and we are so happy that it is now just the 2 of us. My mother on the other hand is upset that I kicked him out before the vaccine came. Everything is fine, it is a happy ending. And before we end the video, we will read one last funny, satisfying revenge story from r/pettyrevenge. It is titled, "A kid kept kicking my sandcastle, so I built the next one with a rock." So I was about 11 or 12 at the time, and on vacation, we were staying at a lake in Alberta, and it was honestly a good time. I built an amazing sandcastle. It had walls, towers, and even a drawbridge made out of driftwood. Plus, I built it on a platform made of rocks halfway into the lake, like a little island. I mean, come on, I even made decorative trees out of seaweed, and then the teenagers struck. This one kid went and kicked the sandcastle to bits, and even before I got a picture. My next sandcastle, I buried the heaviest, most jagged rock in the base. The teenager went up to it and kicked it again. Well, let's just say the castle lasted longer than his foot. My castle did not get knocked down over ever again, and now as a teenager myself, I still vividly remember this event and it makes me laugh. Don't ruin people's work, kids. And yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.